Welcome to The Explainer. The second we open our news feeds during any major international conflict, we're actually stepping right onto a battlefield. Today, we're going to unpack exactly how narratives form, how they're challenged, and how they are fiercely contested during global disputes. Plus, we'll talk about how you can actually navigate this overwhelming flood of information. When we hear the phrase international conflict, right, we almost instinctively picture soldiers, tanks, and the physical battlefields. But I want you to consider an unseen yet equally intense battleground, the fight for information itself. During an occupation, who actually holds the pen? Is it the governments? Is it the journalists on the ground? Maybe it's social media algorithms? Or hey, is it ordinary people with smartphones? News reports, official statements, and eyewitness accounts, they're all constantly warring to shape how the world understands the exact same event. There's this saying, in every conflict, there are battles fought with weapons and battles fought with words. And it couldn't be more true. Listen, no single source has a complete picture right from the jump. The side that successfully shapes the narrative can literally influence public perception, diplomatic ties, and ultimately history itself. It's wild to think about, but the framing of an event often matters just as much as the event actually taking place. All right, so here's how we're breaking this down today. We'll start with the information battlefield, look at who controls the story, dive into the social media sword, compare propaganda versus human stories, and finally, we'll build out your critical thinking toolkit. Okay, let's jump right into part one, the information battlefield and why narratives matter so much. Because, look, information isn't just talk, it is action. The story that dominates the airwaves has tangible, real-world impacts. We're talking about steering public opinion, shifting international diplomacy, and driving massive political choices. Most crucially, it dictates where, when, and how humanitarian aid actually gets delivered to civilians. And long after the physical fighting stops, that dominant narrative, that's what writes our historical memory. Moving on to part two, who controls the story? Let's map out the key actors here. So every single actor sharing information has distinct perspectives and, quite frankly, profound limitations. Governments, well, they naturally prioritize national security and legal justification, right? Which means they might omit or downplay negative information. Then you have independent journalists. They're aiming to verify evidence and interview multiple sides, but they face severe censorship and literally life-threatening security risks. Meanwhile, international media brings that much-needed global attention, but their coverage is often dictated by editorial priorities and audience interest. That means different outlets can lead viewers to vastly different conclusions about the exact same event. And all of these actors are operating in what's known as the fog of war. We absolutely have to remember that. In real time, even the most experienced professionals do not have complete information. The ground-level challenges are just immense. We're talking restricted access, ongoing violence, wildly conflicting claims, and total communication blackouts. Finding reliable information during an occupation is like trying to solve a giant puzzle in the dark. The absolute truth often takes a lot of time to clearly emerge from this fog. Which brings us to part three, the social media sword, speed versus accuracy. Social media is the ultimate double-edged sword in modern conflict. On one hand, you've got this incredible power to expose. Literally anyone can instantly publish information, completely bypassing state censorship and bringing a global spotlight to unnoticed events. But on the flip side is a massive danger to mislead, because algorithms thrive on raw engagement. Unverified rumors, fake images, and cleverly edited videos just spread like wildfire. On these platforms, speed almost always beats accuracy, which makes verification absolutely critical. Let's pivot to part four, propaganda versus human stories, or what we can call the emotional front. You see, many parties in a conflict aren't just sharing facts. They are running sophisticated psychological operations. Information warfare relies heavily on emotional messaging, selective presentation of facts, and viral campaigns designed deliberately to influence your thoughts and feelings. Basically, if a piece of content instantly makes you furiously angry or deeply afraid, just pause, take a breath, because you might be looking at a tool designed precisely to trigger that exact reaction. And in the deafening noise of these viral campaigns, the severe human impact on the ground is usually what gets totally overshadowed. We have to remember that behind every single high-level political headline are real people. We're talking families, medical workers, and local communities who are bearing the absolute brunt of the conflict. Their actual lived human experiences are frequently drowned out by competing political agendas. Finally, part 5, your critical thinking toolkit. Let's talk about how we actually evaluate all this noise. Improving information quality globally requires a massive collective effort from all of us. We have to aggressively protect press freedom and support independent journalists so they can actually do their jobs and safely verify facts. We also need to demand total transparency from all parties involved, promote media literacy in our schools, and really strengthen independent fact-checking initiatives to hold spreaders of disinformation accountable. But on a personal level, this means changing your daily media habits. When a wild-breaking claim appears on your timeline, do not accept it immediately. Actually try this. First, compare multiple reputable sources. Don't just rely on your favorite outlet. Second, check dates and context. Early reports are frequently completely wrong. Third, distinguish verified facts from opinions. And fourth, recognize emotionally charged content and seriously think twice before you hit share. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on as you navigate your news feeds today. The biggest challenge isn't just deciding who controls the story, it's learning how to evaluate those competing narratives with actual evidence and context. The media has profound power to inform us, to expose wrongdoing, and to amplify humanitarian needs for sure, but it can also deepen divisions. Critical thinking is your absolute strongest tool against misinformation. So how will you use it today? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking the hard questions, and I'll catch you next time.